Hey everyone, my name is Stanley, and today we're going to be continuing on using CFOP to solve the Rubik's Cube, and this is part 2 of this series. I advise you to watch part 1 before you watch this video, because we're going to be continuing off where we left off in part 1. As we mentioned before, we are using a method called CFOP. If you really want to hear more, it is in part 1. So at the end of part 1, using beginner CFOP, we were able to solve the first 2 layers. Now, I'm going to be teaching you something called OLL in this video. And OLL basically stands for orientation of the last layer. And basically what it does is that once you solve the first 2 layers of the Rubik's Cube, the next major step is to get the entire top layer to be yellow, disregarding any of the sides of the top layer. So since we are learning beginner CFOP, doing OLL is going to be much easier than doing advanced CFOP. OLL itself actually has 57 algorithms that you have to memorize. And 57 is a lot that you have to memorize. So using beginner CFOP, we're going to be doing something called 2-look OLL, or like a beginner's OLL, in which you have to memorize many less algorithms. We would have to complete the cross first, and then you would only have to memorize around 7 in order to complete the top face. So you have to memorize less, but it will actually take more time to do it, which is a trade-off. So if you really want to pursue getting fast times, then you would probably have to memorize the 57 algorithms. Or for more casual cubers or beginners, it's easier to memorize 2-look OLL before you move on to advanced. So as I mentioned before, the first step to 2-look OLL, the first part, is to create the yellow cross on the top, which is basically the same as the beginner's method. And as you might remember, the beginner's method had a certain algorithm that you had to keep repeating in order to complete the yellow cross. And that algorithm goes as follows. So right now we see the yellow line over here. So even just according to the beginner's method, we would have to hold it horizontally like this and perform this algorithm. So we would have to do the front face clockwise, the right face up, the top face clockwise, right face down, the top face counterclockwise, and then the front face counterclockwise. And that way you can see that we have created the yellow cross in that algorithm. But what happens if you have this yellow L shaped? According to the beginner's method, we would just complete that algorithm twice. First to get it to that yellow horizontal line, and then doing it again to do the cross. So it would look something like this, where you do the algorithm while it's facing up and away to get the yellow line, and then you would repeat that algorithm again in order to do the cross. So that way we have to do 2 algorithms in order to solve it. However, it is actually possible to create the yellow cross with 1 algorithm when you have this L shaped. So the algorithm goes as follows. You have to hold the L shape so that it is facing forward and to the left, like this way. And basically the algorithm is you move the front face clockwise like you did before, but instead of moving the right face up, you would move the top face clockwise, and then you move the right face clockwise, move it back, move that right back, and then once we move that front face back down, you can see we already have the cross. So once you memorize that algorithm, it's much easier to go straight to the cross in 1 or 2 algorithms. Now, once we actually have this yellow cross formed, we have to memorize 7 algorithms, or there are 7 cases with algorithms that you have to memorize in order to form the entire top face to be yellow, regardless of the sides of the top layer. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. So even though you can see that these sides are not completely correct, the top face is all yellow, and that's basically OLL. So what are these 7 cases? Well, so the first case looks like this. If you think about it, it kind of looks like a fish with the tail over here and the head over here, and this is called a soon. And basically, once we identify it's a fish, we look at this corner piece and we see that the yellow is facing this way, or to the left when I hold the fish like this. So in this case, you would have to perform an algorithm in which it looks like this. So you move the right face up, you move the top face twice, you move the right face down, you move it only once, the top face only once, you move the right face up, you move the top face once more to have a complete cycle, and you move that right face down. So in a way, you're only moving the right and the top faces. You just have to memorize the combination. So really, it's just right and the top. So really, it's just the right face and the top face that are moving. So it's relatively easy to memorize. Once you identify the fish and you see that this headlight, it looks like a headlight, is facing this way, you can immediately just do the algorithm. And then you have the top face all yellow, and we've completed OLL. Now, the second case also looks like a fish, but as you can see, when I'm holding it like this, the yellow headlight is not on this side, on the left side here. Instead, it's facing up over here. And this is called an anti-soon or anti-soon. And basically, we have to hold the fish so that it's actually upside down from where we had before, like this. So we have to hold it like this, upside down with the headlight facing us. And then we perform the algorithm as follows. We move the right face clockwise, the top face clockwise, the right face back down, the top face clockwise again. We move the right up, and then move the top face clockwise or counterclockwise twice in order to move it all the way back. And then we can move that right face back down. And again, as you can see, only the right and the top faces are moving. So once you memorize that combination and practice it, it's going to be much easier to actually do. So the third case, after you create the yellow cross, looks like this. It looks symmetrical with the yellow. It kind of looks like butterfly wings, I guess you can say. But basically, you have these opposite corners that are not matching or not yellow and should be. And so what do is that we have to find a part, or you look at the corners that have yellow on the top, and we find a part that's facing us. So example, but it has to be on the right side over here. For example, this is facing us, but it's on the left side. So we're not going to be using that to face us. Instead, this one is facing us on the right side. So we can stick with this face. So the algorithm in order to solve this goes as follows. So the first step of the algorithm is that we're going to move the front face counterclockwise like this. But instead of continuing on the algorithm while holding it like this, I'm actually going to make the cube so that whatever front face I was on is now the top, because it's just easier to move the sides when I'm holding it like this. So once I move that front face counterclockwise and I'm holding that front face so that it's at the top, we now have to move the left side clockwise, the top face clockwise, the right part down, the top face counterclockwise, the left face back up, the top face clockwise, and then you can see the right face back up. And now, when we rotate the cube back up, we can see that the yellow layer is completely solved, the yellow top, but the sides are still not solved. For the fourth case, we can see that there is just a yellow cross, but there's no other corner in which the yellow is on the top here. And when we look at where the yellow faces are, you can see that there's headlights, or both of them facing me this way. And when I flip it over, another two is facing me. So the headlights are going to be over here. And in this case, we're going to hold it so that one pair of headlights is facing me, and then we're going to perform this algorithm. It's relatively easy to memorize this one. So basically, we first move the front face clockwise, and then we're going to repeat these 4 moves 3 times. So we're going to do the right face up, the top face clockwise, right face down, and then the top face counterclockwise. And then we just have to repeat those 4 moves 3 times. So that's 2, and that's 3. And as you can see, all we have to do is just move that front face back. And voila, we have completed the top, and we have completed OLL with that algorithm. For the 5th case, you can see that we also have the yellow cross here. And there are still no yellow faces of the corners facing on the top layer. However, the headlights are in different parts. So the headlights, of course, same thing as before, facing us. However, this time, the headlights are not facing us, but rather are on the side. So think about it like these are like fish eyes almost, like they're pointing at the sides this way. And basically, in order to solve this one, you have to do this algorithm. Hold it so that one of the eyes of the fish, as you can, I guess you can call it, is facing you and on the right. And then we perform this algorithm. We put the right face up and we move the top face twice. And this time we move the right face, instead of going down once, we go twice, so that it makes some sort of T shape here. We move it, the top face, counterclockwise so that the T shape is now on its side like this. We move the right face twice again to make it a horizontal line. We move the top face once again counterclockwise. We move the right down twice again. And then we can just move the top twice in order to align that last yellow piece and move it up. So now we have also completed the top part, and we have completed OLL for that case. For the sixth case, the yellow cross is solved, and two of the corner pieces have yellow on top over here on top. However, the other two are next to each other and have headlights on the side, so fish eyes, but it's basically the fish eyes one, except this one has no headlights. So what we do for this one is that we hold it like this so that each fish eye is on its respective side. And then instead of solving it like this, holding it like this, I'm actually going to rotate the cube so that the yellow side is now facing me. And I'm going to perform this algorithm. I'm going to go the right part up, the top face clockwise, the right part back down, the bottom face clockwise, the right part back up. As you can see, it connects it over here. Now there's an L over here. The top face counterclockwise, and you can see I already created a square, and we can basically just predict what's going to happen. We just have to move this right back down, and with that last step, we just have to move it like this, and boom, we have completed it. OLL for the sixth combination. Now, for the seventh algorithm that you have to memorize, as you may have guessed, it's basically that same one as the sixth one, except the yellow parts are not like the fish eyes, but instead are the headlights facing us. So what we do here is we hold it like this, where the two headlights are facing us, and then we move the right face twice so that the white's back on top here. We move the down face, the bottom layer, clockwise. We move it the right face down, the top part counterclockwise twice, and then we move this right face up. We move this down face counterclockwise. We move the right down again, and as you can see, we already have 6 now. We move the top face counterclockwise twice, and as you can see, we just have to move that last right part down, and we have completed OLL for that 7th and last case. And once you memorize those 7 algorithms, after you complete the cross, you're basically all set for doing a beginner's OLL. From then on, we're gonna have to be learning a little bit more algorithms in order to get the sides of the top layer to be correct, and we're gonna be finishing off beginner's CFOP. All right, that's really all from me today. I hope you learn how to do OLL, and by the way, if you just keep practicing, then of course you'll get better at it, because practice does make perfect. And the more you practice, the more it's going to be ingrained into your muscle memory. And once it gets ingrained into your muscle memory, it's going to be much easier to complete the algorithm. You might not even have to think about it. You just have to you can just do it with your hands. Yeah, so if you are interested in anything else made by us, I recommend that you check out any of our videos of our channel, Task Team. If you have any questions about this, feel free to contact me with my email in the description. And I'll see you in the next video in part 3. Bye!